150, 50. What rhymes with onion? Million. Were the questions fun? Well, that's how many downloads we have for MaskGun. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, noobs and pros, welcome to the second episode of MG Legends, where we uncover the inspiring stories of our ultimate MaskGun players. Our guest today is joining us from Singapore. He is the president of RIP Clan, the biggest clan on MaskGun. He's also a working professional working in real estate sector. How does that work out? We'd like to know. And we thank his son, Killer Croc, for introducing him to our game, MaskGun. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Diablo, AKA Hitesh, our 1 in 50 minutes. What?
Hello.
You already here? Just
Hi.
How are you doing today?
All right, I'm
Hitesh?
very good. Very good. Thank you.
Today it's all about 150 million. We've grown, the community of MaskGun has grown to 50 million players. So congratulations to you
Yes.
as well, because you're one of the community leaders that we have with us. Let's start today's session, Diablo. Okay, so the first question here that we have for you is on your screen. We would love to know this from you. What we want to know is, how is Hitesh and who is Hitesh?
So basically, Hitesh is just like any ordinary kid who loves to play games. And I've been playing games since I've been introduced, or ever since I had a 368 computer. So that's when I started my journey on games. And ever since then, I've never left it. It's always been part of my life, no matter whatever I do. And basically, I'm also a working professional who I'm in the real estate industry. So MaskGun is always the first one, and then I go for a meeting. So you can imagine how big MaskGun is, or how much impact it has brought in my life.
We would definitely want to get into the details of that specific part, that how it is working with your work and how MaskGun is there before your meetings. And we know how that is going to come out, because that's beautiful. But before we do that, you're in Singapore right now, and
Right.
and you keep coming to India. So I would really love to know, how's life at Singapore, and do you miss India?
Definitely, usually once a year or once in 2 years, we visit India, we travel in India. Singapore is just a small, beautiful, but it's just a concrete jungle. So you can understand that we usually come out of Singapore, we travel around, but India is definitely one of the destinations that we always go.
And now that you know that I'm in Goa, will you come and visit me in Goa this time when you come
Definitely.
around in India?
Definitely.
And Hitesh, this is something that we know about you, that you're very well versed with a lot of languages. You're pretty fluent. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So being in Singapore, we are multicultural. So basically, I grew up. Of course, I'm a Gujarati, so I know Gujarati. I know Hindi. Then, my second language was Malay. So it's a local language. It's a Malay. And then when we went into the army, I learned how to speak Chinese as well. So basically, I'm well versed
Wow.
with all these languages.
Wow, that's pretty cool. The only one language I know apart from just English and Hindi that I communicate is in Spanish, and that I only learned this because of No Soy Chris. We had him for the first episode of MaskGun. He also,
Right.
like you, knows a lot of languages. It's amazing to see how cool the MaskGun community is in itself. All of you guys are like a little too smart. And on
Yeah.
that note, talking about smart people and talking about work, here's the next question that we have for you, and that is, from real estate to mobile gaming. Hitesh, please bless us with this amazing story that you have, where how before meetings,
Right.
before like real estate stuff, and before
Right.
meetings you play a game of MaskGun. I don't want to tell any further. This one's yours. Like
Right.
over to you.
Okay, so basically, what happens is sometimes the meeting is, of course, it has a lot of big investors. It will have a lot of people sometimes, or sometimes it's just one investor. But what happens is that you definitely get nervous because you don't know what the investor is thinking. So to relieve those nerves, usually I'll be at the meeting place at least 15, 20 minutes before. I'll sit down and I'll play at least a few games of MaskGun just to release every nervousness that I have. And then after that, when I go into the meeting, there's no nervousness there left in me. I'm definitely bang on the spot and I get my meetings done. And if there's a sale, we get the sale done. That's it. Very
My
simple.
God, can I just quickly go back and be like, what?
Oh, thank you.
That's like so cool. That's like so cool. I mean, like, you just redefined the way people look at work. You kind of you fused these two very cool things that you like together. You like
Right.
real estate and you like MaskGun and gaming. And
Yes.
that's lovely to see. But here's also something very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. Hitesh Diablo is a very, very interesting man, because the next question we have on screen for him is this, and you guys cannot even fathom the answer. The question is, how was your first MaskGun game? How was it like? And how did it
Right.
happen? Tell us about that.
Okay. So basically, MaskGun happened when we were just searching on the App Store, and it just came about. So I was looking for a lot of FPS games. Now this was like 5.5, 6 years back. So at that point of time, my son was around 4.5 years old. So so I told him, okay, you can download this game, just play. Because I used to play from those olden times when you say the 386, 486 computers, or before Pentium. What happened is that I was playing Wolfenstein. If you remember Wolfenstein, there was Doom. So these were the games that I used to play FPS, and I really, really loved those games. But over time, of course, uh, we went into studies, went into work, army. So then it came back into when I saw this game MaskGun. So I asked my son to play. After he played, he showed me. So I downloaded it as well, and then that's when I realized, my God, this is like the ultimate, because in the least possible time, you are able to load up and play your game.
And on that
So
note, I quickly jump to my next question, and that is, who
sure.
plays it better, you or your son? Come on, we have to ask
Okay.
this if we are here. We
Right
know the
now,
answer,
right
and I can
now
give you
it's
one done.
right now
But
it's
what's here?
definitely me. Right now it's definitely me. But a couple of years ago, he was very, very good, because he even picked up the sniping skills, and I couldn't pick it up. I really couldn't pick it up, the snipers.
Let me tell you what, okay? We talk about games,
Right.
we talk about you experiencing games and playing with your son. Let's change the floor a bit. And
Right.
let's get to a few of our games, and let's play a game right here, right now. Are you ready for it?
Definitely. Come, let's go.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Hitesh, really, really fast, and you have to give us the answers really, really fast.
All
We
right.
would try to know you more from this rapid fire. That's the purpose of it.
Sure.
We want to know more of our community, and especially the president of the RIP clan. The first question is on your screen. What comes to your mind when you hear the word community?
Help.
But when you say help, why would you say that word?
Because when I started, there were many people who were experiencing a lot of issues, problems in the game. So that's when I started to help a lot of players, especially those Indonesian players, because they couldn't connect with the developers at that point of time. So that's why I started to help a lot of Indonesian players. Then we had a lot of Filipino players, Thai players,
Wow.
and that's when I started to give all the reports. And at that point in time, Robbie was taking care of everything, our CEO. So it was really good. It was really good, because you feel that you help a lot of people, and then they start playing, they start enjoying, and then they'll start recommending. And that's the thing I wanted to do, is to
Yeah.
help a lot of players there.
What's most number of hours you've played in a single day on MaskGun?
I've played probably around 10 hours. 10
10
hours.
hours? Oh my
Yes,
god,
yes.
Killer Croc, are you hearing this out? You and me, we gotta play, we're gonna do a 10-hour. Tell us three things on your bucket list. And one should be coming to Goa and meeting me when you come to India next, okay? But what's
Right,
your bucket list
right.
like?
So basically, my first one is definitely one of the tomato festivals that's happening in Spain. And then, yes,
Nice.
definitely.
Tomatina.
And yes, and then the other one is we do a skydiving, hopefully. That is another one. Skydiving. Definitely me and
Oh,
my son.
wow.
It's gonna be me
Wow.
and my son. This time I'm not gonna let him go. So it's just gonna be both of us doing the skydive. And the third one is we really want to go and see the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. So that is something we are looking forward to as well.
What exotic, exquisite choices. And especially, I just love it how you say that you're going to do it with your son. Let's not deviate any further. I'm sure we've got to know, like, I love this and I got to know more about you. And I'm sure the community
Sure.
now knows also a lot more about the president. But now it's only about time that we switch back to our mode and get back to the conversation where we would now actually want to know that how a community is built, and what are these things that a leader has to, the steps that is to take, the things he has to keep in
Right.
mind. Here is the question that I have been dying to ask you. Like,
Okay.
I have been dying to ask this one. So the questions here on your screen, okay? Your in-game names are so cool. They're like legit the best thing that, like, I was going through. I was like, I love them. So like, tell us a little bit about the story behind this. We would love to know more about what's the genesis of these awesome in-game names
Right.
that you guys have?
Right. So basically, I started off having my own name is because me and my son went to watch the movie called Suicide Squad. That's when my son really liked the character Killer Croc, so he had that name. I like the character Diablo, so I had that name, and it's basically extended. So we followed the Suicide Squad. We followed the Suicide Squad. That's it.
How does a clan grow that big in so
Right.
many countries, across so many diversified players? If you could
Right.
just walk us through that.
Right. So basically, when we have so many players, every in each and individual player, we know our own skills. We know how we play. We know how our RIP plays. But of course, we have to adapt to every year. There's a different strategy that comes on in playing the game. So what we do is we find players. So I have all the presidents looking out. I have players looking out. So the players know that if this player is really good, he knows he's good at his sniping skills, he's good at his AR. So we'll speak to them. So we get presidents to speak to them. We or myself, I'll speak to them, and then we'll see how they are ready to be in the clan and ready to commit and
Wow.
be a really good player. And we do have trainings as well for the clan. So every clan has its own training. Immortals, they train every day. We have Storms who are also training. We have Turkish clan which trains. So we have this thing that we have this quality of players who also helps our other players to let them grow. And that's the really good thing, because when you start growing, you realize, that there's, of course, there'll be always be the negative and the positives, but we are always looking at the positives
Yeah.
on our end, looking at, hey, you've grown this big. Of course, there'll be challenges all the time, and always the only thing every player I tell them is, don't forget about all the abuses, forget about everything. It's the skill, it's your skill, and you need to talk with your gun only. That's it. Very simple.
Okay.
Talk with your guns.
Okay. Talk with a gun, mask gun, yo.
Yes.
But. Okay, okay.
Right.
This is very simply you kind of like put across, and you're like, hey, we kind of like are super geared in when we practice, and that's all we do.
Right.
You give us that, but tell us how many countries do you have the members of RIP clan
Right.
from? Can you give us
Right.
give
So
us a
we have
number?
from we have around, let's say, approximately more than 25 countries. Yes.
Wow. 20 to
Yes.
25 countries. That's where the
Definitely.
community is coming from. Lovely,
Yes.
lovely. And here is a special question that we have for this particular segment, and the question
Right.
is on your screen now. And the question is very simple. You actually
Uh,
went and visited to the Pune. How did you think that we will miss this one? Of
uh,
course, we've got an ability. Like
all right. So,
you came to India, you came to Pune, you went to the MaskGun headquarters, you met the
right.
CEO of MaskGun, Robbie John. So tell us a
Right.
little bit about that. How did that work?
Okay. So this basically happened when my son Killer Croc found a sort of bug or something like that. So I emailed directly to June at that point of time, and Robbie replied. And Robbie
Yeah.
was very surprised that a 4.5-year-old kid was able to find something like that. So it was the part that we were returning from Singapore. So from which we were returning, with 3 days we stayed in Pune, and that's when we met
Wow.
Robbie, and my son was very impressed. He checked out everything. We checked with every one of the developers. So I met with everyone. I had such a great time. I was awed by the things they were doing, because there are certain things that you really cannot comprehend as a player. You would never be able to comprehend as to how things are being put forward and made it so simple for us to play. But the amount of time, the amount of hard work, the amount of efforts these guys put in was phenomenal. And the best part was that I was the only outsider who's been able to see the MaskGun system. So it's locked in here. Uh,
Don't tell anybody.
yes.
No, but it
So
is
I was
also because of it's also because of players like you. You've stayed with us the entire journey of the game, and that
right.
makes all the more a lot of difference. That gives you that spirit to go those extra last miles time and again, because
Right.
you're fighting it for a community to give them an experience. And
Right.
and look at us today. Look at us today. We started this
Yes.
conversation with me congratulating you on the 50 million
Million.
players that
Yes.
I just love saying it. I just love it so much. While that's that, we believe that this is just about the time for the surprise we were talking about. And here
Sure.
we go with this one. Let me just quickly get this little surprise that we have planned for you on your screen. What you're going to see
Sure.
now is this. What we have on our screen now is because,
Right.
you know, you agreed to meet us and do this with us, and we didn't want to not give away something
Right.
before we kind of like parted our ways. So here we have three boxes for you to pick from,
Okay.
and let's see what you take home today. Boom. So
So,
which box are you gonna pick?
box number one.
Are you sure you're gonna go ahead with box number one? Maybe box number three has the best thing, or maybe box number two.
Oh, so now we're talking about percentages, which means I'll go for box number two.
Box number two, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like I've been able to sway our lovely guest over here. Let me just quickly show him what he has got from box number two. You can now pick any character skin that you
Ah,
like because we
yes.
love you so much. And
Yes.
this is MaskGun, ladies and gentlemen, where our community means everything to us. Okay, I do have one last thing that I would love for you to
Right.
kind of do before we're done. This is one small thing.
Sure.
Is there a signature move that Hitesh has? Is that Diablo has something that you say whenever you kind of like start a game or anything? Tell us a little bit about that and give us that signature move so that we can record it and keep it as a
Oh
memory
God.
with us.
Oh, the signature moves. I think the signature move happens in the game itself. So a lot of people are able to realize that. But the thing I always, like I said, I before, is like when anyone speaks to me or anything, I say let's talk with guns.
Let's talk with guns at
Yeah,
MaskGun. I'm gonna take this one. Let's talk with guns.
you're right.
Wow, that's you should never say it, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone who's hearing us right now, you should never say this when you're not on MaskGun. It does not sound right at all. While at MaskGun, you can talk with guns, ladies and
Right.
gentlemen. Give it up for our guest of today, Hitesh AKA Diablo. Keep playing MaskGun, and thank you so much once again for being here with us and sharing your MaskGun story. One
Thank
in
you.
50 million.